staking class. So let's say I stake for 5 years. I'm going to get a certain amount of T-shares that I'm going to hold for 5 years. I'm going to accrue that interest for the 5 years. That 5 years comes up. It's time for me to collect. I'm going to be able to collect all the interest that was owed to me because of those T-shares I gathered at the beginning of my stake 5 years ago. I'm also going to accrue all the emergency and stake penalties. So we talked about it earlier. If you end your stake earlier, that interest just doesn't disappear. It actually gets distributed out to the staking class. So the staking class gets rewarded for you not being able to honor your terms. You were unable to honor your terms. So your interest that you accrued for however many years or days, what have you, gets dispersed to the staking class. So I, as a staker that actually went to the fruition of my stake, I get to reap the rewards from you being unable to hold your stake for the length you agreed. So you're going to collect your interest, you're going to collect any emergency and stake penalties, and then the contract's going to calculate how many days that you were staked for, and it's going to take your T-shares, it's going to burn them, it's going to get rid of them, so you no longer have those money printers in your possession, and it's going to mint you your coins. It's going to give you the coins back, and you're like, okay, cool, now I have my principal, my interest I've accrued, and these emergency and stake penalties, and so now you essentially have your hex, whatever the price appreciation of hex is at that point in time, and you have the option. You can skim a little bit of the interest off the top if you want to, and then you can send that principal back out, and you can send it out further, and just continue your ladder, just a revolving ladder. A lot of us have a strategy like that. You could say, no, I'm good. I'm going to take all the rewards that I just got. I'm going to take them all and I'm going to cash out. That's fine as well. But what the system does, let's say you don't need the money at all. You're like, wow, I made a lot of money. I like to continue this ladder. I want to stake it all back out. So you go to stake it, and let's say you want to stake it for the same time. Let's say you want to stake it for another 5 years. So you go back to the contract. Hey, I want to take my principal, I want to take my interest, and I want to take all my emergency and stake penalty bonuses I collected over the years, and I'd like to stake it out for the same length of time, 5 years. Please give me some of those T-shares. Give me that money printer again. So the contract looks at all that profit that you just had, and it's going to look at you sending it out the same length of time, and it's going to calculate to see if you're going to essentially receive a higher ROI for staking your principal, your interest, and your emergency and stake bonuses for the same length of time. If you receive a higher ROI, the contract's going to say, no, that's not possible. And it's going to adjust on copy screen right now where it says share price for a T-share. Right now it's 17,661 hex. It's going to adjust that number, and it's going to increase it. So you cannot buy the same amount. You can't buy more T-shares for what you did back in 5 years. So essentially that T-share price is always going to go up. It's never going to let anyone realize more gains than what they were able to for the same length of time.
Yeah, so it will always be beneficial to stake earlier because, like Molly just said, the T-share price goes up anytime T-shares are burned. T-shares are essentially deflationary. There's a limited supply of T-shares, whereas hex is inflationary. But the T-shares are what's truly scarce, and it's really a game of trying to get those T-shares while they're still young and early because they're only going to go up in price. And again, to echo what Molly said, one of the really fun parts about hex is that your interest comes from three places, right? Not only your gains come from three places, not only price appreciation and not only interest, but also end stake penalties from the impatient. So it's basically like in hex, we get to drink the tears of the impatient and the paper hands. And it's pretty great because people that don't know what they're doing, this is why I don't want this to happen to any of you that are learning for the first time, but people that are impatient or people that don't believe, we get to basically drink the tears of the non-believers. Look what happens if I click on the red button right here. Obviously it's red. You don't ever want to click on the red button.
Do it.
Look, this is what it'll say. It'll say, are you sure you want to do this? Are you really sure you understand what you're doing? Look, it's flashing yellow. You idiot, don't do this, right? So, I mean, maybe you do know what you're doing, but really I'm going to lose money if I click this red button again. And I can click it again, and then I'll have to confirm on my MetaMask. So I have to click like 3 times to really do this. It's hard to trip, fall, accidentally do this. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know how else we could stop people from doing this, but people still do it from time to time. We still see people blowing up their accounts because they're saying maybe they think there's no penalty. You know, hex is different. Hex, just like in the real world, you pull your money out of a 401k early, you got to pay a penalty. But this is code, and yeah, you have to abide by the laws of the code.
Real quick question: when you do end your stake, where does your hex go? Does it go straight into your MetaMask wallet?
Straight into your MetaMask wallet, because remember you linked it in the beginning to interact with go.hex.com. So when you end the stake, it'll take a couple of minutes. It might take a couple seconds, couple minutes, depends on the Ethereum blockchain. But once your transaction's processed, all that hex will go straight to your MetaMask wallet.
Yeah, and let's talk about cashing out, right? Let's say you got a nice little gain, you want to go cash out. You just do the reverse of the process we just talked about. So it's back in your MetaMask wallet. Then you now transfer from MetaMask back to Coinbase, and then you go from Coinbase into USDC or your bank account or the dirty fiat system, whatever you want.
Can you go through real quick line by line on your active state category? Like, can you go through, start, end, progress, chart, what all these numbers mean?
Of course. So start date is the day we started on. I started the stake on day 360, which happened to be November 25th, 2020. I ended my stake on day 560. So this was an example. I did the stake for, 560. I like to stake longer. My progress so far is 83%, right? And the chart, it's kind of complicated, but it basically tells you how much
interest
you've been making.
That you receive.
Yeah. It doesn't really, I don't really care too much about this field, but it is nice to know that you're always earning interest every day. Ollie, you want to cover these?
Yeah. So right now we're in the APY section. So yesterday, again, this is just showing your daily interest. You can scroll off that a little bit so we can just see. So he got 14.36% yesterday. And then if you go over to the next one, his total, he's averaging about 14.57%. Like he said, this is a shorter stake. This is only 200-day stake. So it's not going to receive what we were talking about earlier. Like once you get out to the average, that's when you really start seeing upwards of 40% APY and above. So next one you have over that is your principal. So this is his initial amount that he staked. So he staked 481,826 hex. He staked that. And then if you go one over, again, these complex things we're talking about, T-shares, remember, just think of these as your money printers. Right now, he turned in his coins for these T-shares, and they're earning him this interest. So right now, he has T-shares. He doesn't have the coins in his possession. He got just shy of 33 T-shares for the stake. Now, go one over. This is big payday. This isn't permanent to anyone that's getting into hex now. It's ended. This was just part of our adoption cycle when all these coins were actually getting minted into existence. It was a 365-day, essentially, well, a little less, launch phase where we brought these coins to existence. Just disregard that. That's for more of the OG guys. Then you have interest. So right now, his total interest that he's accrued is 32,327 hex for a current total of 514,153 hex. And then USD value is right here. That is a $25,858 stake, everyone.
Blows my mind. It
Thank
just
you,
blows my mind
Coffee.
every time I
Thank you,
look
Coffee, for doxing yourself today for the demonstration. I appreciate that.
I can't believe
Just-
it's that high.
Yeah.
Just for example, what was the initial USD price of that when you first went to stake that? How,
So go to the start date. So day 360. What day was that, Coffee? And then we can go look it up in TradingView.
Day 360 was November 25th, 2020.
You want to pull up TradingView and see if we can get the price?
Sure.
and
guys
that's
had
and,
to-
and
yeah,
that's just the price that if you got out of it right now, but when that thing matures, it's going to be way more than that, right?
Probably. If price keeps appreciating, that's a beautiful aspect. You're not just relying on the crazy interest, the yield you can generate upwards of 40% and above. You're also getting price appreciation that goes with it. So your profits can compound quite quickly with that. And another thing on top of that, guys, like realize like Hex is done just alone, without interest alone, over like 1,000x from all-time lows to all-time highs. So it's done amazing already. And then if you start throwing in the interest you've earned, some people in the community have earned up to 1,500x. That's 1,500x whatever they put in. It doesn't even seem like it's possible sometimes. This is how amazing the crypto space really is.
I don't remember the exact date, but November 20th, 2020, Hex was worth 0.004 cents.
There you go. And right now, today, we are sitting at 5 cents, I believe. Let's see.
5.2 last I looked.
Yeah. That seems
So it did about a 20x lately, and that's, of all time, it's done about 900x, I think.
And that was just a couple months ago. That was not that long ago, guys.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
So I think we got a long way to go, and pretty excited about the future. I'll be right back.
Very
So
exciting.
so what other hurdles do you see, Motley Investor, that people have in getting in Hex as a newbie? What else? What other advice would you give somebody? Well, it's not advice, but what would you, if you were a newbie, what would you want to hear about that?
So the biggest thing that, like, if you take it away from this, is just be careful, be safe. We have a very prevalent community. We have a very knowledgeable community that's been active for the past year and a half. If you need help, if you need advice, my best recommendation is you gotta be careful. Again, we talked about when there's this much money involved, there's a lot of scammers and people that are here to take advantage of you. But our ecosystem, we're predominantly on Telegram. So if you guys have the Telegram app, or if you don't, I would advise on getting it. And I'll actually pull up those Telegram links real quick.
Yeah, be safe. Nobody will ever ask you for your private keys. Your private keys are what derives your wallet. I will never talk to you. People impersonate me all the time. They impersonate Molly all the time.
Yep.
And they impersonate everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a lot of scammers everywhere. Just be very careful. It's the Wild West. And my other tip I can give you guys is that I teach this in my course too, but like really the only money in crypto is made by the long-term holders and founders of coins. So long-term holders beat traders any day of the week. I mean, people that trade, I've seen them trade themselves into oblivion. I myself have traded unsuccessfully, and I've gained far more by just holding, right? So holding something that you believe in, that's a stable, secure store of value for a long period of time, is really how people win in crypto. It's as simple as that. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-rich-slow scheme. And the best investments really are boring. So I'm sorry, but that might not be what you want to hear. You might want that flashy trader lifestyle. It's not real. Those people are stressed out. It's not real. You need to just hold.
I love earning 40% APY with zero overhead, with zero work. Like it.
Zero. Yeah, zero thought and zero time, because it's a very time-consuming thing to sit on a trade. Unless even if you're doing limit orders, you're kind of constantly trying to baby that thing. Okay, so I got to. So yeah. So I got a question for you. The day the stake ends, what if I was doing a First Amendment audit and I got thrown in prison for 3 months and I can't get to my computer to end the stake? What happens to my to everything that I have staked that just expired or just matured?
So that's another good aspect. Can you go ahead and pull up your screen, Coffee, while I get going on? So there's another feature besides ending your stake. There's also an option called good accounting. So good accounting essentially serves two purposes. Instead of actually minting your coins, you can good accounting it. So when you go to good accounting, let's say you were unable to access a computer, you got thrown in jail, the man came and got you. Yeah, hospital, coma, whatever. It doesn't matter. You just don't have access to go in your stakes. So I'll go ahead and talk about how your stakes will bleed out if you don't do anything real quick. So you have a 2-week grace period. Let's say you can't get to it, but you can get into it in the next 2 weeks. You won't lose anything. After that 2-week grace period, you'll lose 1% per week for the next 2 years until eventually that essentially adds up to your entire stake bleeding out. So you have a 2-week grace period. If you still can't reach your stakes at that point, then you can use something like the good accounting feature. The way the good accounting feature works is someone has your address. So essentially your address in your MetaMask wallet. They're able to go in there and run the good accounting function. They don't need access to actually go in your wallet or anything like that. They just need the address. They'll have to pay a gas fee, so they'll have to pay a little bit of Ethereum, but they can actually they can good accounting your stakes. So then at that point, the contract stops everything. You won't bleed. Your stake won't bleed out. It won't mint your coins or anything like that, but essentially puts your stake in a limbo state. So it's there. It's ready for you. Whenever you're ready to mint those coins, you can come back at any future date. You won't take any penalties. You won't have any issues. It's just someone you were able to give your contract address to. They were able to in-stake it for you, and it just sits in that limbo state until you're ready to come out and mint those coins. It also serves as a second useful purpose for taxes. So let's say we just passed our tax season. So let's say we're coming up on it, and you're like, man, I got this giant stake coming out. I don't really want to pay taxes on it this year. I like to postpone that. So that good accounting feature, instead of minting your coins, you're going to good accounting it, but you're not actually minting the tokens. Like I said, it's in that limbo state. So the contract freezes everything. You don't take any penalties, but you can choose when you want to actually end stake and mint those coins at a future date. So you can wait past the tax season to end that stake, and then you don't have to worry about paying that taxes until the next cycle. So it's a double-edged. You have two benefits that go with that. One, you're not able to actually access your stakes, or two, just for tax purposes, if you want to postpone those to the next cycle, you can just good accounting it, because those coins, until they're actually physically, because remember, right now you just have T-shares. You don't physically bring those coins back into existence until you run the in-stake function. So it's really not a taxable event until you mint those coins. A good accounting will not mint those coins until you're ready.
All right. So you said earlier on. Go ahead, Coffee. Go ahead.
Oh, just anybody can run good accounting for anybody else, and that's the gist of it. If you have a family member that has hex and you're worried that it's going to bleed out, you can go ahead and run it for them without any know-how other than you need to know their public key, which is public.
Okay. And then you said, I think Motley Investor, you said that it's not really for somebody who's going to put $100 or $200 in it. So what would you say is the minimum feasible amount a newbie can get started in staking hex?
So
and be worth it in our current environment of having to pay an Ethereum gas fee before Pulse Chain.
Right. So just to give you an idea, guys, if you haven't actually operated or transacted on the Ethereum network, everyone is running somewhere in between $100 to $200 to transact right now at like peak congestion. So it's a crazy amount of money. So the average Joe coming in with a couple $100, $500, you're literally talking about losing half your stack trying to come in with gas fees. It's not feasible. Honestly, for me personally, to feel comfortable to even get someone in at this point, you have to be coming in with several $1,000s. I honestly wouldn't feel comfortable until like right around the $5,000 mark to actually make it worth your while with these fees, because you're gonna have to send it, you're gonna have to transact. Then if you're gonna stake it, then you're gonna have to transact again, and then you can send it out further, and then you won't have to worry about the end stake until a later date. Now the beautiful thing is, even if you're the smaller guy and let's say, hey, this sounds really great, I'm willing to bite the bullet and take those heavy hits right now with Ethereum gas fees, you can leverage that with time, right? Let's say you have a lot of time. Let's say you're a younger guy. Let's say you're in your mid-20s or you're in your 30s even, and you're like, okay, I might not have a lot of money now, but I can stake out further and I can get those extra T-shares, because you get bonus 20% T-shares every year you stake out up to 10 years. So maybe you're like, oh, well, I might only have $500 now. It's going to eat into my principal, so I'm only going to have like $300 once I stake. But if I stake it out 10 to 15 years, I'm going to leverage my time, essentially have more economic mass, because I was able to get more T-shares because I was willing to go out further than someone that only staked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So you can work with it a little bit there, but right now the fees are insane. If you're coming in with smaller amounts under 1,000, I would honestly say it's not that worth it. But this is going into our next segment where we're going to talk about Pulse Chain, a fork of Ethereum. Richard Hart is working on this. He's the founder of Hex. He's about to be the founder of Pulse Chain, and it's going to solve the solution with all these gas fees that not only Hex is having to deal with now, but all the tokens that are on top of the or on the Ethereum blockchain. Essentially, the entire system state is about to get copied over during this fork, and we're going to talk a little bit about that if you want to go into it now.
Yeah. Okay. So what about somebody who, okay, it's like, yeah, I only have like $500 to $1,000 to put into Hex. Can they just buy Hex and put that in their wallet?
Yes,
like you can with Doge, and then it just increases in value?
Yep. You don't have to stake it. Will it increase with value? We don't know, right? That's the crystal ball part of it.
No one knows
what price appreciation or depreciation is going to be. That's your speculation. That's your speculative assets. I don't know what price will be in the future, tomorrow, 10 years, 15 years. We don't know. But yes, you can take it. You can keep it liquid. You do not have to stake it. That is your choice.
I want to say something too. Yep. One thing, guys, for anybody new watching, the Hex price, along with all of crypto tends to dip 70 to 8% every couple of years, maybe even some months. It can dip 50% in one day. In the history of Hex, it might just feel like it's going up all the time because it's going up right now. It's not. Okay, Hex will go down again in the future, and when it dips, you got to be ready to stomach that. Okay, you got to be ready to believe in it, and the interest that you're making will offset the dip, right? Because let's say it dips 30% in a year, but you made 30% APY, you broke even. But this isn't some magical wand that only goes up, right? So really, crypto is the most volatile asset in the history of mankind, but it's also the highest appreciating in the history of mankind. And the price you pay for that crazy high appreciation and those mad gains is extreme volatility. So it's really not for the faint of heart, and not something you should even be checking every day. Hex gives you the freedom to set it, forget it, and just go live your life. I mean, we still check the charts every day, let's be honest, but really it's designed to basically free you from having to look at these charts.
And that's a beautiful mechanism about Hex and its high APY generating yield. It helps counteract that volatility, right? So like, let's say the entire market's tanking, because we know cryptocurrency goes in between these bull and bear markets. Right now we're in a bull market. An idiot can throw a dart at the board and be very successful right now. But everyone knows the tears are coming when that bear market comes around. And even Bitcoin, the big dog on campus, goes down 85, 90% like in a flash. So everyone's miserable. Everyone loses money. Everyone's freaking out. But guess what? Imagine you had a cryptocurrency that enables you to earn 40% APY because you have it currently staked. So that counteracts, maybe you only went down 80%. Now you have 40% yield. So you're only experiencing a 40% loss, where the rest of the market is just pure death. They don't have that yield generate, that trustless yield generation that Hex does. So it helps ease the pain, helps ease the discomfort. And guess what? When we go into a bear market, man, if there's something that can trustlessly earn me 40% APY while I'm trying to endure the next 4 or 5 years to the bull cycle, I'm going to move my assets into that. And I have a feeling, and again, this is not personal, this isn't financial advice to anyone out there, but I have a feeling if there's something that generates that kind of yield trustlessly in the bear market, I imagine there's going to be a lot more people that start flocking to that, because that's personally where I would like to hold my economic mass throughout a bear market. I want to be growing that stack. I want to be ready for the next bull cycle when we get to it, and have a larger stack ready to go, earning much more, earning a yield, essentially cutting down into my losses. So I think Hex will surprise a lot of people, not only in this bull market, which we're experiencing right now, but in the bear market as well.
I'm just reading some comments in the chat room, and people are saying 5,000, man, I just can't do that. So if somebody wanted to just buy Hex, can they do that with their Coinbase account, or do you have to have MetaMask linked up with that?
For right now, you can only buy it on these. The main place to buy is these decentralized exchanges. It's actually the safest place to buy too. But what I will say is, you can start with lower amounts. You can start in the hundreds of dollars, and that would be fine, because you don't have to necessarily stake it right away. You can just hold it liquid in your wallet, and whenever this Pulse Chain fork happens, maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's 4 months from now, you're gonna get a 1-for-1 copy of all your coins on the Pulse Chain, because a fork just means we're copying everything on a new chain. So you could fork it, so you could buy it, hold it liquid, and not stake it, and just wait till there's a better environment for you to do your staking in. That's one option as well.
And there's another thing to piggyback what Crypto Coffee said. There's another like tips and tricks you can do to kind of reduce these fees, right? Especially if you're a smaller guy. So there's optimal times when the congestion actually dies down. And so we're actually coming up on that. The weekends are the best time. So when you start looking at Saturdays, Sundays. So for me, example, I'm on the East Coast. I find the best times to actually do my transactions, to do my stakings, approximately starting around 11:30 p.m. at night, and then about 1 to 2 a.m. So it sucks for my sleep cycle, but I'm able to get in much cheaper transactions during peak times during the week and during like regular hours. So for me, East Coast on United States East Coast time, it's around 11:30 to about 2 a.m. I have my best time. The congestion has died down the most. The U.S. is going to sleep. It's the optimal time to actually get your transactions through, and that'll significantly help lower your gas costs.
Well, since Coffee already breached the subject, you want to just talk about Pulse Chain real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's talk about Pulse Chain.
Pulse Chain is going to be the hype event.
Keep in mind, guys, Pulse Chain is being designed to sidestep the current exorbitant Ethereum gas fee. Is that a correct way to put that?
Yeah,
100% at this point.
yeah. Ethereum, it's not great. It's not a good user experience. People are going to go where there's a better product. I mean, people don't care about. We've seen when people go to Binance Chain, they don't care that it's owned by potentially one guy. They're going to go where there's a better user experience and where fees are cheap and fast. Right, transactions are cheap and fast. Ethereum is neither cheap nor fast anymore, and it's especially not cheap. So what we're doing is we're forking Ethereum. We're taking all the good parts of it. Richard Hart, the founder of Hex, is also now going to be the founder of Pulse Chain as well. We're taking as many good things as we can inherit from Ethereum because there are a lot of good things about it. Longest, heaviest chain that has smart contracts, EVM compatible, it runs Solidity code. It's usable by a lot of people, has a lot of developers around it. Hasn't really been hacked, actually. The base layer itself hasn't been hacked. Contracts have been hacked, but Ethereum itself has not been hacked. It's been around for over 5 years and 6 years, still going strong. And so there's a lot that we like about it. But we need to start it with a token that's much lower in value, that a lot of other things like moving to proof of stake. Pulse Chain will be moving to proof of stake, and you're going to want these things to basically make transactions as fast as only 3 seconds and as cheap as like 0.001 of a penny, right? So it's going to be negligible. It's going to feel like it's almost free.
Yep, that's 4 times faster now than any Ethereum transaction, and just like Coffee said, it's fractions of a penny. So where you're going right now, maybe it costs you $60 just to send your coins to your wallet, or it costs you $200 to exchange one token from the other. You'll be able to do hundreds and thousands of these transactions for fractions of a penny. So you're essentially able to transact, go through commerce, trade, stake, do whatever you want. You could do it with $1. You could do it with $1, and you could run thousands and thousands of transactions. That's the ecosystem we're about to go into with this fork of Ethereum, which is Pulse Chain. So this is essentially, and Richard isn't just doing it for Hex, right? Like even though he's the founder of Hex, he's doing it for all ERC20 tokens, all smart contracts built on the Ethereum chain. He's going to, when he goes and forks this, he's going to give essentially the world's largest airdrop we've seen in the cryptocurrency space. So everyone that has an ERC20 token, essentially a token that's built on top of Ethereum, they're going to get a copy of that, regardless if it's Hex or if it's something else. If it's built on the Ethereum chain, it's going to be copied over into the Pulse network. So not only are you now going to get this more efficient ecosystem, you're going to get a copy of whatever stack you have of ERC20 tokens, whether it's Hex or something else, Aave, Synthetics, you name it, doesn't matter. As long as it's built on Ethereum, you're going to get a copy of it for free. So now you're going to have the Ethereum version. So right now we have the Ethereum version of Hex, and then we'll get a copy of it after a certain snapshot, which we'll talk about here in a second, and we'll have the Pulse version of Hex. So now you just essentially doubled your bag. And one side is going to be able to transact in a much friendlier ecosystem as far as gas fees and transaction speeds go.
Just because you have double your bag, so to speak, you're going to have double the quantity, right? You're going to have, like, let's say I have 10,000 Hex on ETH and 10,000 Hex on Pulse. Those are going to have different values. The market is going to decide how much USD value each of those have. So it's not as simple as, oh, I'm getting double my money. No, that would be ridiculous. Come on.
Double your coins.
So double your coins, and the market will decide. But I believe the market will go where they're treated best. And I think that's going to be Pulse Chain. So I think the Pulse version of Hex is going to accrue a lot of value. And we'll see what happens with the ETH version. I hope the ETH version continues to have value. I don't know if it will, but I really hope it does. I mean, especially in the future, if ETH ever does fix its stuff and actually becomes cheaper.
Yeah, so Ethereum can Ethereum does have a roadmap, right? Like they have an Ethereum 2.0, they have a couple updates coming. They're working on it. They're just behind, right? Because they were the major blockchain. Everyone builds on top of them. They got lazy. They got complacent. They didn't improve fast enough. So we're coming along. Richard Hart's coming along, and he's gotten the developers, and he's kicking it in the ass to make it better. Whereas Ethereum's kind of rested on their laurels, and they got lazy with it. So we're coming in, and we're gonna help out people that are struggling on the Ethereum chain. We're gonna build Pulse Chain. It's gonna be a better network to operate on. And just like Coffee said, maybe in the future the Ethereum chain does get better, either with their updates with Ethereum 2.0, or inevitably what solves these issues is we go into a bear market. We will go into another bear cycle, and guess what? The congestion cuts down a lot when no one's transacting anymore, and no one can just throw a dartboard anymore and just get rich. The bull market's over. The bear cycle is much less transactions. The congestion comes down, and your transactional fees will come down. So it's not even reliant on Ethereum to get their shit together. It might just get solved by the bear market. So you have a couple ways where your tokens on that are ERC20 can still retain value, just like Hex on Ethereum. That can still it still works. Hex works fine. It's the issue of what it's built on not working well right now.
All right. Do you feel like there's anything else we need to cover before we end this? We're right at an hour right now.
Let's touch on sacrifice phase real quick, and then we can talk about just real quick the snapshot at the end of it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of details we have about Pulse. If you want to find out more about Pulse, you can follow Motley or myself, or most importantly, Richard Hart, and get in Telegram channels. We talk in Telegram, t.me/PulseChain.com. That's our preferred method of communication. If you go there, you're going to be the first to know about anything coming out. But there will be a sacrifice phase in order to get Pulse tokens, and I think part of the reason Hex is running up right now is because people are rushing to buy up Hex so that they can then sacrifice it and be early adopters in the Pulse chain, which I guess people are speculating will also go up in price. So that's another opportunity for you to research and look into. Getting into the ground floor of something is usually great, especially that's it's a good stable project. And again, when we say sacrifice, that means you don't get the coins back. They're likely just going to a dormant address. That's kind of the general thought there of the sacrifice phase. And you can sacrifice any ERC20, a list of coins, an arbitrary list of coins that is yet to be determined. So if you have maybe Dogecoin, you'll probably be able to sacrifice that for Pulse. If you have any coins you don't really want to be holding right now, I'm sure a lot of you might. I definitely did. You can convert them into Hex and then sacrifice them, or you can sacrifice them directly. But the reason that a lot of us are converting them into Hex and sacrificing is because we say, why not just buy up the price of Hex? Because when you convert into Hex, it makes the price go up.
Pump
And
your
then
bag.
you pump your own bag, and then you get rid of your bag in exchange for some new Pulse tokens. So it's just an exciting thing coming out. We don't know when the sacrifice phase will be. It'll be a 30-day period. It might happen in a week. It might happen in a few days. So really just pay attention, keep your ear to the ground, and you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, following us, follow Richard. Just like Coffee said, Telegram is probably one of the best places you can go. Again, t.me/pulsechain.com. That's where you can go and get all the information you need. The community is very helpful. Everyone will give you all the information. We even have voice chats in Telegram now, so you don't have to worry about anyone trying to privately message you and take advantage of you. You can literally go into a voice chat where you can voice your concern. And we, at any time, we have about 50 to 60 participants in there, so everyone can give you accurate information. If anyone even tried to take advantage of you, the community would shut that down instantly. So voice chat is a very safe way to go into these Telegram groups, ask your question, get it answered, and you don't run the risk of running into any scams or anything like that. So I highly recommend you guys go into these Telegram channels and take advantage of them. Just like there's one for the Pulse chain, there's also one for Hex. So it's t.me/ I think just Hex Crypto.
Yep. That's
Okay.
it.
That's it. Hey, thanks guys for joining us. You guys stay on the line. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream on D Live. If you guys have any questions on D Live, just put them in the chat room and we'll try to address those. Crypto King's in here, so he could probably field a lot of those. But guys, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Of course, Brian.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
Okay, I just ended.
The Ethereum tsunami waits for no one. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to check out the sale on the premium list. You can find a link to that in the description below as well to lock in the lower rate and know how I'm navigating these markets. We also have Into the Cryptoverse t-shirts. If you guys are looking for one, you guys can check that out in the description.